So a few days ago I posted this video on TikTok and at the moment it's sitting at around 500,000 views. I've been getting a bunch of comments asking me to do a tutorial on the video, so I'm going to break down some of the techniques that I'm using in that video here. I also do have a longer version of this video that I posted on my YouTube channel a few days ago, so if you would like, you can check that out as well. So the first technique that I'm using in the video are these Celtic style guitar triplets. So if you want to be able to do these, here is the strumming pattern. So we're going triplet, down, then we're doing up, then another triplet, down, and then we're going up, down, up. So down, up, 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 down, up. So you'll notice there on the triplets themselves, I'm only strumming these bottom sort of 4 strings. Then on the single upstrokes, I'm just strumming the top few strings. And on the single downstrokes, I'm also only strumming the bottom 3 or 4 strings. So if I take a G chord just now and I start off slowly and build up the speed, it's going to sound like this. So the second main technique in the video is this sort of semi-quaver or 16th note strumming that I'm doing whilst I'm taking a F sharp minor up to a C sharp minor chord. So for the chord itself, I've got my thumb over the 2nd fret of the low E string. I've then got my 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the A string. I've got my little finger on the 4th fret of the D string. Then I've got my 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the G string. I'm also just keeping the B string and the E string open the whole time. So chordally, all I'm doing is sliding this exact same shape up from the 2nd fret to the 9th fret. So a big tip for this kind of strumming is to not have your hand parallel to the guitar. You're going to want to make an arch in your wrist, and that is going to give you the maximum mobility to get the kind of required movement and speed that you're going to need for this kind of strumming. Now for this kind of strumming, I would recommend practicing it in bursts first. So I'll take 3 chords just now and I'll show you what I mean by that. Now you may have noticed there as well that I'm mainly just doing this very fast strumming on the top 3 strings, and that's going to make it way easier to do it rather than doing it on all 6 all the time. So if you get that down, it really is just a case of doing it for as long as you can and pulling that chord from the 2nd fret up to the 9th frets. So for the first chordal part, we're going to look at the chords first, then we'll look at the strumming pattern. So the chords are that C sharp minor that you've already played from the intro. So that is thumb over playing the 9th fret of the low E string. Then we've got our 3rd finger playing the 11th fret of the A, our little finger playing the 11th fret of the D, and our 1st finger playing the 9th fret of the G string. Then we've just got our B and our E string ringing open the whole time throughout all these chords. Second chord is going to be an A chord, and that is just with our thumb on the 5th fret of the low E. Then we've got our 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the A, our little finger on the 7th fret of the D, then our 2nd finger on the 6th fret of the G, then again the B and the E are open. Next chord is just a normal E major chord, so open E string, then our 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the A, our little finger on the 2nd fret of the D, our 2nd finger on the 1st fret of the G, then the B and the E are open. Our last chord in this part of the piece is going to be the exact same shape as our A major chord, but we're just going to move it up 2 frets to make a B major chord. So we've got our thumb on the 7th fret of the low E, our 3rd finger on the 9th fret of the A, a little finger on the 9th fret of the D, our 2nd finger on the 8th fret of the G, and the B and the E are open. So now here is the strumming pattern. We're going to be going down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. Okay, so I'm going to take a G chord again now. I'm going to start off that strumming pattern slow and build up the speed to a higher tempo. Okay, so now for the chords for the B part, and then we're going to have a look at the slightly different strumming pattern for the B part as well. So our second part chords start off with that A that we learnt earlier, then down to our E major, then up to our C sharp minor, then to our B. And this is the only new chord, but it's the shape we've already used, so it's our G sharp minor, which is just the same shape as our C sharp minor on the 4th fret. Then we're going back up to our A, then down to our E, and then to our B. So the second part strumming pattern is exactly the same as the first, but in every group of 3 strums we're going to be muting the first one. So if I do that slowly, it's going to sound like this. So to get that mute as clean as possible, you want to take whatever chord you're fretting, release your fingers a little bit, and make sure that all the strings are covered and muted. So in this case, my second finger is muting all the strings from the low E down to the G, and then my third and little finger are muting the B and the E string. And that's giving us half of the mute. So it's already pretty much muted, but then I'm also adding in a palm mute where I take this part of my hand here and I'm hitting it into the bottom 3 strings as I'm strumming. So instead of getting this sound, we're going to be doing this. So let's practice that strumming pattern together now. We'll take a G chord and we'll start off slow and build it up to a higher tempo. So I know there's a lot of techniques in this video, but hopefully once you get a grasp of a few of them, you can start incorporating them into your own guitar playing. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.